Well, guys, this is a luxury to be able to have some time. My phone is 20 feet away from me. I am raking the leaves and twigs of our beloved piano teacher, Mrs. Bowman, who is 85, arthritis, chronic pain, and yet she's still, for 52, 55 years, maybe more, 60 years, she has taught children piano. And so I told her last week that she used to love to garden. She can't. And I'm sort of an adopted son. So I brought my rake and I'm going to be doing that. I hope that the noise isn't too upsetting to you. But I wanted to share this, that it seems that the theme I'm hearing from everybody here, even Neil, who's holding space for us, is one very accustomed to the overarching theme. You did have some energy depletion. But I'd like to talk about what my spiritual father, Richard Rohr, discusses in his new book called The Tears of Things. And I recommend you don't feel like you have the bandwidth or time to read it. It's an easy read, but if you don't, definitely check out some YouTube videos. The one that I saw today was Oprah and him. It's their third interview that she's given him, and all of them have been good. But this one happened, I think, last year, maybe. And he really lays it out well there. The Tears of Things. So he writes this at the end of his life. He believes it is his last book. And he says it's kind of the summary of all of his teachings throughout the 50-something years he's been a preacher and teacher and spiritual father to so many. And I've been touched deeply by the sentiment in this book. So I wanted to share some ideas with you because it really relates. And that is, for all that was, gratitude, and for all that will be, yes. And that the pervasive human feeling, and I would say it's the majority of the time, my own life experience says something about it, and certainly of my clients, and is that life is one that evokes tears. And I think that there's times your particular experience right now, I could be projecting here because I often feel very similar to you. What I'd like to say here is there's a melancholia that's not the same as depression. And it might be misdiagnosed in sort of clinical parlance as pervasive depressive disorder. And I think there is a place for that in a diagnosis. But spiritual melancholia, if you will, is actually a gift, as far as I can see. If I'm reading the spiritual texts well, if I'm reading them correctly in some way, whatever spiritual tradition it is, particularly the Christian notion of loss and renewal, the traditional term for that is called the Paschal Mystery. And don't be impressed by these fancy theological terms. Paschal Mystery, it means the Easter mystery. And what that means is it's an understanding, if you will, that there is always death, and that if we learn to die well, without, says, gripping. You said, keep my hands open. That's, I don't want to presume, but that is a very Eastern, very Chinese, beautiful Eastern way. Keep my hands open, keep my heart open in this. Non-gripping in our sadness. Even to where we don't have to try to figure it out. It's just that is the human condition of being alive, is to feel sadness and joy. I'm not saying, but see, joy is not the opposite of sadness. happiness might be the opposite of sadness. Joy is the acknowledgement and, let's say, movement of life is joy. And I would say it's particularly felt when there is a sense of perspective, overarching perspective. That is, there's a transcendence quality that my suffering and sadness and happiness has intrinsic meaning. All of that can lead to joy, even in the midst of heartbreak and breakup and confusion and angst and anguish. There can be an underlying pervasive sense of, this too belongs. I don't know it. I wouldn't choose it. I don't like it, but I've been here before. I'll get through it. And notice, if you're like me, the times of deep pain, and I've been suicidal before, I know what that feels like. It's been years now, but I'll never forget those feelings. The kind of despair. Well, the deep pain of something like that, we remember that we've gone through it. And somehow, at least in my life, and I think it's true for many people, is you'd say something like, I would never choose to have gone through that. I would never have chosen the circumstances that led me there. But on the other side of it, because this and this and this happened, even if those things have led me to further pain in some ways, there was a sense of a trajectory that was uniquely mine as connected with God, that somehow God was in it, through it, with me, in me, as me, through it all, and that I'm participating in something larger. Because the tears of things, notice the saying, and he didn't make that up. That's not a saying that he made up. It's a saying that I believe he borrows from, it might be Jewish, a Jewish wisdom. But the idea is that it's not the tears of people. It's that everything has some sense of sadness or it's crying. Everything has a lament. And there's a place for lament. Lament is not I'm crying and then I want revenge or to fix it. That's not the wisdom of the archetype of lament. And of course, the Jewish wisdom here is to include an entire book called Lamentations, the lamenting. But the archetype of lament is to allow the healing tears to pass through us, in us, because it's our way to not grip. It's our way to keep our hands open. I've been told that if you were to analyze the consistency of tears, you would find it to be, I don't know, 98% water, and there's 2% something like stress hormones. That just the crying for the suffering and the sadness of which we cannot really do anything about is itself a relief. And it's not just our crying. It's not just that he is sad about her system or her life situation or the melancholia, but it's that the human organism, if we're going to say we're all part of one body, and this one body is the earth, the planet itself from which we emerge. I mean, we are the earth's feelings and self-awareness level. We are the membrane of the brain of the earth that feels and has self-awareness. And we're different cells inside of that one organism. And if many of us on earth are not able or not willing to lament, and yet the only way for this one organism, the human self, to evolve, I mean, from the law of one perspective, we might call it fourth density, From a Christian perspective, we might call it the kingdom of God. Um, the bodhisattvas are here too. The tradition of the bodhisattva, the enlightened ones coming back to help humanity deal with its pervasive suffering. And they do so through teaching us how to lament well, cry well, without reacting. So I just want to offer that is there's dignity in just the feeling of the sadness, and that it's not just your sadness. It's the sadness of millions, if not billions, of people right now suffering heartbreak, suffering hurt, loss, confusion, the chaos. I mean, Rohr talks about the quiet horror that, in fact, Dawn asks Rohr, why does it feel like the earth is more negative? Well, how is it that, because Rohr had said that most of the souls on earth are actually positive, it's not just not harvestable positive. But then Dawn says, well, why does it feel like it's just such a negative environment? And Rohr says something like, there's a quiet horror. Most people feel this quiet horror. Well, that's enough to lament, isn't it? Um, and I would argue that the quiet horror there is caused by the same human organism writ large, the inability of this one self, this human self, to process pain. We just keep projecting it. Just keep reacting and blaming, hating, and not growing. And so that just creates more bellicosity, which is the very thing that we're being asked to learn to process. We refuse to, except for those who are able, through their own normal pain, to offer it as a kind of sacrament of solidarity. Sacrament of solidarity. So that's why I want to pray about tonight. I want to lead you guys. I want to do it with myself too. It's a way to transform our pain and confusion. In the only way I know, which simultaneously frees me from the clutches of some kind of pain that I'm in, without negating it, and in fact using it, and then allowing it to be transformed to be a blessing for others. So it works for me. I'll offer it to you, and we'll see how this might be. So what I'd like to say before I start the sacrament of solidarity, I want to see what time. Barbara, what time do we have? What time is it?
It's 8:41.
Okay, good. We got time. I'd like to just offer that I have also been feeling sad. And it's sadness that I am, parents are getting, my mom's dead. My dad is getting older. The sadness that my beloved oldest son is going to be going off to college. I mean, there's tears of joy and tears of sadness, and it's kind of like when you see your kids in bed sleeping peacefully, that that old paradox of, oh my God, my heart is so full of love, I can't think of anything, this is the most fullest love I've ever experienced. And then simultaneously, but what if they die in a fire? What would I do if they were kidnapped? Like, and this is called, Brene Brown had a great despairing joy, I don't know, something along those lines. It's a paradox. Okay, but that's what I'm saying, is that's life itself. This moment can't get any better except for the next moment, which might be absolutely horrible. But then, is that us trying to grip on the goodness, what we consider goodness of life, and wondering why the badness happens too? Well, I think life happens because life is about loss and renewal. And we're not the only order of magnitude that's undergoing loss and renewal. Everything is losing and gaining. The forest has to be burned before it can regrow. Huh? So, what I'd like to do is ask everybody here to say yes to uniting our hearts in this one organism that we have created called building forth. It's a sub-organism inside the larger organism of the human body. And unite our hearts together to say, yes, we share each other's sadnesses, willing to, if you will, carry the crosses of sadness with the other. You're not alone. And if you're willing to do that, then what I'm going to ask you to do is see if you can cultivate inside of yourself a visual that is taking place in the lower chakras, probably 3 inches below your, 3 fingers below your belly button. See if you can picture a sphere there that's kind of orange and red and sadness. It's anger, maybe, huh? Sadness, nervousness. It's an energy that's undirected, Ross says. So just picture this as a sphere, swirling sphere. And inside, when we have these spheres of fear, if you will, they are heavy and we feel so alone in carrying them. And you're not alone and you feel alone. It's that paradox. So we all feel this way. I do too. I have a loving wife and 3 loving kids. I belong to some great friends. I belong to this group. I know I belong to the Creator, belong to myself. And yet my day-to-day experience is often one of solitude and sometimes alienation. But we don't need to be afraid of being afraid. Be not afraid of being afraid. So I offer now to say yes to wanting to surrender to the power that anger might give us, or the power that even grief or seeing ourselves as victims might give us. Say yes to letting that go. And see this sphere rising. It's hitting a membrane that's right below the heart. And it wants to cross through, but the only way that it can cross through is if you say to yourself, I surrender my need to control my grief. And I surrender my need to control the outcome of those that are hurting in my life. Just surrender the need and desire to control anything. And see that sphere then passes through and begins to transform into a green, emerald green, beautiful sphere, shining like a gem sapphire. It's moving up into the heart. And from here, this is the seat of universal love. That right now, you are a human feeling most profoundly human. That it's all of one heart. It's just one heart, people. Your heart is just but a fraction and a fractal of the heart. So inside of that, we are inside of that. Just feel into this unity. And then I ask you this question, and if you are ready, I ask you to affirm the intention. The question is this. Of course, the Sacrament of Solidarity is all based in free will. So the question is this, do you wish to use your pain to bless others? And if the answer is yes, then see the sphere moving up now and settling behind the throat. This is the place of honest communication where we will, in a sense, raise the host to be consecrated on the altar of our hearts. And so it is sitting upon the heart. And from here, we lodge in our throats a message of love ready to be delivered as now the sphere begins to move through the neck and up and into your forehead. You may begin to feel pressure there, a swirling pressure between the eyes. See the sphere turning into a beautiful indigo. And from here, open your third eye, your mind, your heart's eye, your mind's eye, and spiritual intuition, and begin to notice all your brothers and sisters in the world right now. Of 9 billion people, how many are suffering heartache? Think of the children in Gaza, the mothers and fathers who have powerless to protect their children, the most basic instinct. Or think of the college student right now who their boyfriend or girlfriend just broke up with them and they're at the top of a parking lot wanting to jump down and kill themselves because their life is over in their opinion. If you don't think this is common, I just had this today with a client. Or the child who is told they have to get certain grades and become a certain profession or they don't belong to this family. Think about the pain that and level of heartbreak that such a child might feel. So with this, see these folks in your eyes, include our Building Forth community, those who are here and those who are not, particularly wanting to include Rudy and Troy, anybody else that we can think of there. And now allow this indigo sphere to escape the top of your head. Feel your head, the top of your crown opening, and a beautiful violet ray, no longer sphere, but it's like the sphere was an egg and opened up, and its contents is like this like beam, violet beam of light escapes, and it's ready to be directed. So you direct it with your will, intention, and your faith and say, I desire to surround those here in Building Forth and all my brothers and sisters who are hurting with this love. And this love is this: you are not alone. I'm here with you. Your pain is understood. I will help you carry this. And then as you see the violet ray of love penetrating and surrounding your other selves, let us take 2 minutes of silence, and I will keep track of the time, where we breathe out. Every time you breathe out, you say silently in your heart, you say, I wish you well-being and peace. And then when you breathe in, you say, I wish for myself well-being and peace. Let this be a rhythm of blessing And we will start now. So we're going to come back to our bodies. Gratitude, a sense of accomplishment, having transmuted, transformed alchemically, spiritually, the pain into a blessing. And that we are all here right now with the power to change the collective through our will and faith. Amen.